It's all about being able to understand all the different types of bodies.
Because if you understand the function and why we're doing these things, then it doesn't matter the amount of turnout that is the result. It matters the function of how they're using the turnout.
Looking at body types and going, why do they just naturally have it? What is that about? What is this naturally having this? And then looking at the anatomy, the structure of the body.
Hey dancers, welcome back to Broche Banter. I'm your host, Julie. This week I am so thrilled to have Erica back on the show with such inspiring stories about her 2 adult dance studios at Turnell Dance in Rochester, New York, where ballet and jazz dancers of all levels get the chance to shine. From competition dance to magical performances, she shares how she's creating opportunities for adults to step on stage and live their dance dreams. We dive into topics like partnering and how each dancer's unique anatomy makes ballet technique harder or easier. Also, you don't want to miss hearing her talk about the excitement and hard work behind their annual production of A Nightmare Before Christmas. She dives into everything from auditions to how they fill the seats in the audience. Tune in and be so inspired to manifest your own dreams because, as Erica says, nothing is impossible. And with that, here's the conversation. Welcome to Broche Banter, Erica. I'm so excited to have you on the show again today.
I'm very excited to be here.
Our last episode was right before you were about to open every amazing thing that you've done since then. It was all just about to unfold. Your adult ballet studio, your adult ballet company may not have even been in your head yet, maybe as a vision, but not. Yes. And so many exciting things. So I thought it'd be fun to have sort of like an update show, hear how everything is going. And congratulations on all of the amazing things you've done since then. It's so fun to get to hear the update, right? The talk is one thing, but to actually do it and actually put it all out there is incredible.
Yeah, see what we actually got done and everything. And yeah, thank you. I'm excited to tell you all about it.
So, okay, so your dance school, you have an adult ballet school in Rochester, New York, called Turnell Dance, and you have both ballet and jazz, which is such a fun combination that you've got there. So, tell me about that. I know you've expanded and everything. How has that been going? Where are you at now with everything with Turnell?
That has grown a lot. I was looking at our numbers. We officially have 124 active adults that take class there.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, which I didn't even know if 10 people would want to take class and do this. And now we have this many. We have 2 studios. We teach classical ballet, point, and also jazz, with levels from everything from you've never stepped your feet into first position all the way up to like learning variations, learning point work. Um, yeah. And yeah, we've done things like we have a competition team. We have our dancers performing in showcases. So it's been exciting, big growth.
And it's amazing when you think, when you open it, it's like, dude, are there even 10 people like me in this area? Like, does Rochester have 10 adults who want to take ballet class? Does Rochester have 50 adults that want to take ballet class? Like, these are all questions when you open your first studio and you're like, is there even enough people to fill one class, much less like multiple levels? And it's like, it's really built. It's been amazing to watch it build over these, I guess it's been 3. Is this going to be coming up on your 4th anniversary? 5th anniversary? Amazing.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like there's no market research on this.
No.
Like it's like this is literally a hope and a dream. And like please let there be some other crazy individuals like myself that love dance and really want to take and spend time doing this.
Yeah, it's always, yeah, that's the question. And people, will ask me, and I'm sure you get questions too of like wanting to open their own studio and what are the numbers going to be? And it's like right now, like it is changing and a lot's changed in the last 5 years since you opened. But right now, we are guessing we're all the pioneers, like you're the pioneers in this space where you're like, I don't know. Maybe in 10 years we'll have market research on how many adults are in a given city who want to do ballet. But like right now, like you said, it's a hope and a dream. And in this case in Rochester, it's like bloomed into like a real thing, a real community. And you've even opened up your Rochester Adult Ballet Company as well. Going on, is this your 4th Nightmare Before Christmas production that you're putting on this year?
No, we just came off of our 4th. So we would be going into our 5th, 5 years of nightmare. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk a little about Nightmare Before Christmas because that's a totally original ballet that you created for your dancers in the Rochester Adult Ballet Company. Why Nightmare Before Christmas?
I did not one, I wanted to do a classical ballet. But I did not want to go up against all of the other traditional schools. We do have a professional company here in Rochester that does like the Nutcracker and things like that.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what, we need to stand out. We are adults. Um, so I love Tim Burton. I love things that are quirky. Um, I love this movie, and there is kind of this cultish kind of following for any of Tim Burton stuff,
Yeah.
but it's I don't know, I thought this was would make a really, really fun thing to dance to. Nobody's ever done it, or any or at least anything that I found. I did some research beforehand to see if people have done it, and I hadn't seen anything. So I was like, okay, here's a story I can follow.
Yep.
They have music to it. Okay, let's take this and let's try and create something.
Yeah. Oh, and I honestly, the choreography is amazing, but the costumes are like some of my favorite. Like, you guys did such a good job putting together these amazing costumes that just bring the entire thing to life. They are so fun. Like, I think we're all like low key jealous of your dancers when they come out with all of their Nightmare Before Christmas posts and all these amazing pieces that you put them in. Like, it really feels like a real production that you put together for them. It really is amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. One, my mom, Claudia, she is our who I call our costume mistress, and she made a lot of these from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, right? She is truly amazing. She has helped us from like the current Jack or the Pumpkin Queen costume that was completely from scratch.
Wow.
We kind of made it up in our head, and I was like, "Here, mom, can you do this?" And she's like, "I can't do this. This is so hard." And she comes up with this beautiful, amazing costume. Some other ones we did buy and then kind of zhuzh, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be real.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Oh, the
I
dog,
wanted
the sweet
hi,
dog. Hi, cutie pie.
my new puppy. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. She just sits in my lap. Um, but I wanted it to feel real. I wanted everybody to experience putting on those types of costumes, having sets, not just, oh, here, put on just a skirt and a leotard. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I I want to give adults the same opportunities that kids have been able to have. Um, so yeah, let's make some amazing tutus. Let's put on some amazing performances. Let's do some photo shoots with it. Yeah, let's show off.
Yeah. And okay, so you made up that was a lot of choreography to make. Like, you did choreography for the soloists, for the corps de ballet, for like little groups together, groups within groups, little groups within big groups. Like, that is a lot of choreography. When in the world? So how do you like even manage the logistics of rehearsal time when you also have classes that you're running, because you have like a full studio of classes and then you also have rehearsals for all these different parts? Like, wow, this is a lot to manage.
Yeah. So, okay. So choreography, I had some help. Okay. I had a few choreographers that did help me.
Great.
One who helped me with, I would say, almost half of everything. Like she was there with me. We were choreographing together with a
Oh,
lot
that's
of stuff.
so fun.
Yeah. So Rachel, she was a huge help with that. I also had one of our other dancers, or one of our advanced dancers, Bridget Hanson. She took on some of the roles, and I was like, "Here, would you like to try this?" And she was like, "No, but okay." And she
Sounds
did a
like
great
Claudia
job.
doing the
Yes,
tutus. She's
yes.
like, no, Erica.
No, I don't want to do this, but okay, thanks. She did one of the Pumpkin Queen's solo roles in one of the dances. You also choreographed Oogie Boogie
Oh, right.
for Oogie Boogie's dance.
I
So
almost forgot
it
about that. That was years ago. Yeah, you're right.
we still use some of that choreography. Since the beginning, we've changed some things.
Yeah.
But I still like credit all of this help that I got because it was a huge undertaking.
So
And
much
without it,
choreography.
I couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So thank you to everybody who continues and who has helped me in the past with that. And then as for rehearsals, okay, so adults with rehearsals, we know that we're nuts, we're crazy, we have things going on, we're parents, we have our own jobs, and we're dancers.
Yeah.
So I set aside time on the weekends, and we start in July, like right after 4th of July, and we rehearse all the way through October till the end of October. And typically our rehearsals are maybe an hour or two on Friday nights. And then our long day is Saturday from like 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. on Saturdays. And then we would have soloists come in on Sundays for like a few hours,
Mhm.
maybe 1 to 2 hours. Um, and it is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
Um, it's a commitment. It's a commitment. And anybody that comes into doing this, they understand that. We do have a contract that we sign, just kind of making it like official, like, hey, this is a lot of work. And oh, by the way, we really don't want you to miss more than 3 rehearsals. Because while that sounds like a lot of time to give all of that choreography out for every single dance, I don't remember how many pieces are exactly in Nightmare. Are there like 11 to 12 pieces?
Yeah, I mean, there's
Um,
not that many songs in the whole suite, so I would imagine about that many.
yeah, yeah. So that's how much we have to cover
Yeah.
for this.
And
And
within each piece is like multiple roles because you don't just do unison pieces. You do like the way you do it is very intricate. Like it's not just everybody's doing the same thing on the left and the right side. It's like formations and this people and these people and this little group, and it's like a lot.
yeah, it's literally we are telling this story. So
Yeah.
it's not just, yeah, we're giving roles to dance, but it would be like, yeah, if you were going to do Giselle, or if you were doing Swan Lake, you're telling a story. So while you have main characters over here doing one thing, the core is over here doing something else or being supportive roles. So they're not just dancing, they also have to act.
Yeah.
So giving background to everybody, like, this is where the Pumpkin Queen comes back and is like showing you guys all of this Christmas stuff, and you guys are from Halloween Town, so you're not really excited. So I
Yeah.
have to tell people how not to be excited about Christmas stuff, which is normally a little like hard for us, you know?
Right.
So it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, like every year it comes around, I'm like, okay, are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? And each year it gets better and better. The dances get better. The dancers themselves are starting to understand like what we're doing. And yeah, I hope they're excited for it.
I'm sure they are. It's one of those things that you don't get an opportunity to do in every location, in every place. And when you have that opportunity, while it is a lot of work to do, it's like kind of shows you why you do it. It helps you remember why you go through all of the ballet study and all of the hard work and all of that stuff. Like that stuff, of course, has intrinsic value, but when you get to put it together and share it with the audience, I think that has a really special thing to it. Now, when your dancers are training throughout the year, they're taking class and then they're kind of doing this production as well. How do you manage their progression? Do you see people like graduating into higher level roles in the showcase? Like how is that whole, because it's kind of like it's got a lot of synergy between the two things. So how has that whole process been to get them like watch them grow, like almost like grow up through the roles, like how a kids kind of grow up through Nutcracker, like they're kind of growing up through your roles.
Yeah. So with Turnell, we have levels and everything. And then with this piece, RABC, Rochester Adult Ballet Company, technically owns Nightmare. So RABC puts it on. So there are auditions, which I think is very, very important for our Turnell members. We invite our Turnell members to come in and be part of this. Um, so auditions are important. One, because who knows? You might be offered somewhere else at some other time an opportunity to go and do something, but you might have to go through an audition. So it is an important skill to know. Okay. So our Turnell students come in, they get numbers.
Cute.
I don't,
Love that.
yeah, I don't say their names, even though I know all of them. Okay. I call them by their numbers. And they're auditioning not to get in, but what part.
Mhm.
If you want to be part of it, you get a role. But it's what level, like you said. So we have everything from levels like where our beginners are like 2A is our first main level, all the way up through our advanced levels. Um, so if you want to be a part of it, we have that. So seeing each year where they kind of end up being and stuff like that is really, really neat. Each role isn't necessary. Sometimes they change depending on how many dancers I have and things like that. I can add or take away individual roles and things like that. But watching somebody start um, a your entry level kind of, I've never ever done this, I've only been taking dance maybe for a few years type of role, and then getting up through the ranks where now one of our upper level roles for core would be like the cats role. um, Seeing them take that on and being able to be out there with a soloist, and there's just two of them and they're dancing, so there's three of them on stage. One is a soloist from the company, the other two are students at Turnell, is like, for me, I'm very, very proud, and I hope they are proud of themselves. So that's, yeah, it's neat. It's neat to see individuals who are like, oh, last year I was this. Oh, I want to try and get this role. Um, or even to be like, oh, I love that costume. I've always wanted to do that role, things like that. So it's exciting.
That's so fun. And also to get to be their teacher and then watch them level up and grow is like, oh, it's so sweet. How do you get an audience? Who comes to watch your
Uh,
show?
that's I'm still not really sure how we get an audience. But
Isn't that the
somehow
question always? Like, how do you get a social media audience? How do you get an audience to look at anything you've created?
you throw it out there, and again you hope and dream. So part of, like I said, I was strategic when I chose Nightmare Before Christmas, because most people that hear anything about it are like, oh my gosh, what is this? I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I am gonna go check this thing out.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with it, they're like, I'm all in. So I was kind of banking a little bit on that.
Yeah,
We
that's
also have our anybody that's there that is performing, their family members, their friends, they all come out and everything like that.
yeah.
um and then we post it up on social media. We have flyers that are around town. um Anything that we can do to get the word out. All of our dancers are pretty like, they'll stand there with a thing, be like, hey, scan this, you should come and see me do this. So we've had really good audiences each year.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's always like, are people actually going to come? We might be dancing just for our, family members, and maybe there's one person out there and they're giving us a round of applause. The other nice thing is though, because we do this, we always do it the weekend before Halloween. Um, so kids, this is a kid friendly show. So it's something that if it's raining out here, because we're in New York and the weather can be a little iffy, if people are trying to get their kids to do something where they're not like just sitting in the house, they can bring them to this. It's a fairly short show. It's 45 minutes. So when people hear that, they're like, oh, sit for that long. Even adults are like, that don't know dance or ballet, are like, oh, I'm willing to give this a shot. You mean it's not 2 hours? Sure, absolutely. 45 minutes, done. So yeah.
I'm that's actually a really interesting point on the length of the show, where in many cases you might feel pressure to make it longer to make it sort of worth the time to go out. But also on the other hand, like it is easier and lower commitment for people to go and sit through if they're nervous about sitting through ballet or whatever. They might come for 45 minutes and be like, wow, actually that was really fun. That wasn't super boring. That wasn't really slow. That was actually really fun to enjoy. Especially with kids. Like can a kid really sit through a 2.5 hour show? Like even if there's intermission, like that's tough.
Yeah, we also include in we do have an intermission, not so much for people, but for the dancers. We are exhausted. So we have like a small little intermission, and we've added this the past 2, 3 years. We do like a costume contest for the kids. So they get to come up on stage, they show off their costumes. We do like audience like thing, and they get like everybody gets candy, but then like we normally give some kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas like something, whether it's like a Jack stuffed animal or an Oogie Boogie or something, just to kind of like fill that time for them. And then it's the kids get to show off their costumes again. I mean, as a parent buying some of these costumes when my kids were younger, I'm like, you're going to wear this once. So to me, I'm like, oh, look, you're getting your money's out of it. Here you go. Show off.
It's special inside of a parent to know, like, I don't want to waste money on this costume. Go get up on stage, show it again. That
Yeah.
is, and what a fun idea. I'm just waiting for the day when you send me a picture of an advertisement of you guys on a bus stop bench. Like all the ladies with their tutus, like walking across the bench. That's like, I know that's what I'm waiting for.
That I want to do that. That's going to be the next thing. It's the next check mark. Yeah, let's make that happen. Yes.
I can see it now. Those cute tutu, like, because you do such cute promotional photos for it. Like you do poses that you do like cute poses and the costumes and like these fun graphic compositions. I can just see it on all over Rochester. The bus, you know how they have the bus like in New York City, they do the bus stop and then the vertical ad next to it on the shelter.
Oh, yes, I would love that. I want to see that. Yes. Okay. We're going to manifest that. That's going to happen.
We're gonna manifest that when you send me the sponsorship form. Include the bus stop ad.
That's the next ad size. Yes.
Yeah,
From single page to bus stop. Yes. Please,
that's right.
please help us.
That's right. Yeah, this is it's so fun. I mean, I can't believe how much has grown in just a short period of time. Like it's incredible that that it is what it is and that you all have kept it going. I'm sure the first year was a ton of work, and the second year you have the excitement of the first year to build off of, but then the third year you're like, whew, okay, like let's rally, let's get this done. You know, like let's do it and keep getting more creative. So that's just like amazing year on year, several years into this incredible production, getting so creative. And yeah, the Rochester community is so lucky to have you guys out there performing for them and bringing this amazing
Thank
thing to
you.
them.
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about Turnell. I mean, I think we could talk about the stage forever, but I also want to get
Oh yeah.
into right, which, and we'll get back to it in a sec, with some other exciting things that you've got going on. But I want to dive into Turnell a little bit because I, one of the things that grinds both of our gears is when people are not given good ballet education. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Oh
just,
yeah.
right.
Whew.
I think it's what drove you to open Turnell and what when as part of when you became a teacher, what drove you to it. So tell us all a little bit about the philosophy behind Turnell. Why do you have levels? How do you group the dancers? How do you progress them? Like and you can answer any of those topics, but I'm curious how you think about the education aspect of Turnell and what that means for you and for your dancers.
It was from the start with this, I always struggled with getting good training. Um, Eventually there were some where I did find some good training, and but in the start it was hard to find that. Hard to find individuals that would take adults seriously. You know, you would hear, and I'm sure you've heard this from other dancers and things like that, like the teachers would just be like gloss over things or be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter because you're an adult. So you don't need to know that, or you don't have to have that, or you don't have to work on that because you're never gonna fill in the blank, be on stage, be a prima ballerina, you know."
Or even like
And they,
less, or even like more underhanded, like, oh, don't worry about that, or that's not that important, or like that, sometimes even just that underhanded comment, like, oh, well, we used to have to do that in school and it's really boring, so it won't subject you to that. Like that type of,
yeah,
even like less malicious, but like that type of comment is on that same line too.
yes. And as an adult, I'm like, I want to learn. I want to learn all of it. I want to know why were females only done point? Why did guys get to learn how to jump? Why all of these things? And now, as I have found some great teachers, I have learned myself, I want to pass that on because all of this aspect for dance is important to me, And so far, I've found a bunch of individuals that it seems important to them too. Um, so yeah, so teaching all of the nitty gritty, but then also kind of so adult bodies are different, adult minds are different. So also our bodies are different from different countries and how other people are picked to do ballet. Um, Knowing that in like Russia and some other places, like they do x-rays, and they look at your anatomy and say you can do ballet and this other person cannot because of how their anatomy sits. Okay. We don't do that here. Everybody can do dance, but now knowing why that they do this, because it's easier to teach, easier to get these bodies into certain positions that they have for their schooling. And I'm not saying that that's bad or that's good, but here we don't do that. And we come from so many different backgrounds here. Our bodies are all different, from where our hip bones are placed to how tall we are, to how wide our shoulders are, how flexible our joints are. Everybody's so different. So I've had to figure out, how do I make this work for every single type of body? Let me give you all different kinds of options. So while I might predominantly teach from one method, I also have to incorporate others because, okay, so like let's take an example, hyperextension in the legs. I don't have that. Okay. I've had to ask you actually, what does that feel like to stand with it? What does it feel like to not engage your muscles versus how to engage your muscles? Because I don't understand that. So I need to understand that because I have individuals with hyperextension. So how do we make that work? Um, I have individuals that are tall versus individuals that are short. So, and you can see the difference in how they move, how they shift their weight, where they even hold their weight in their feet. Um, with the idea of small feet versus bigger feet, hyperextension versus no hyperextension. Some people might like to hold their weight more center. Some might like to hold it over the balls of their feet, and some more will sit in their heels. And learning that none of that is actually wrong, but figuring out for which body type it works for and helping them work through that. Um, Point work is another big one. I don't have what you would consider the best anatomy, ankles and feet wise for it. I have inflexible ankles, inflexible feet, but I was damned point and to learn the best that I can. And because of that, because I had to struggle, I can now teach individuals who have that similar anatomy, but I also know how to teach individuals that have these beautifully high arches, these flexible ankles, these flexible feet. I can teach both. And so now I'm seeing progress with both. It's not just, oh, you have great anatomy and I can only teach you. Nope, I can now do both. Um, so that is so important to me. Individuals who um, you're even individuals who are tall. Um, this is my next one that I want to really check off the list. Partnering. I've never gotten to partner. I was always considered too tall. Julie, you're taller than I am.
Yes.
Um, and that's just something like, oh, you can't partner. You definitely can't partner on point because you're already taller than the guys just standing. So it just wasn't something that was going to happen. I want to be able to do this. So I need to find my next thing right now is I'm looking for help with teachers that will, one, teach adults how to partner, two, be willing to teach adults that are not necessarily on point how to partner. Um, and yeah, bringing them in to help with this because, like I said, I want to offer that to any adult that wants to try it. I got to partner the first time at IABF when you had that partnering class, and I felt amazing. I was scared. I was nervous, I remember you coming up to me and being like, get your butt up there. You are going to love this.
I know you were going to do it. I was like, Erica, what's wrong with
I,
you?
I
Was
was
not,
so
I'm generally
scared.
very kind and patient, but I was not in that moment particularly.
I'm so
I,
glad that
I
you
was like,
weren't.
Erica, you literally flew all the way here. Get up there.
I am so glad that you pushed me because, okay, so like any previous dancers, anybody that's been in like some serious sports when you were a kid, you have some of this baggage, that's in your head going, um, you're too heavy to be lifted and you shouldn't be up there. You're going to make that, he's going to drop you and you're going to look like a fat cow. You know, those are the evil thoughts that are in my head sometimes. And when you told me to get up there, you literally said, you're like, because I said to you, I was like, I'm, what if he can't pick me up? And you go, that's a him problem. And
So
I was
say
like,
that. I
okay,
can
thank you.
totally see-
Even if it's not, like the guys that were there were amazing and they were so willing
Yeah.
and like no, it wasn't a problem. I jumped, they picked me up, everything was fine. We fell, nobody, he didn't put me down and go, wow, I can feel your lunch in there. Okay, like maybe that has happened before to other people, probably. Um, I want that experience also for my adults because it was amazing. It was amazing to be on point and to have somebody turn you. John was my partner and his wife who has done this stuff before, I'm sure he works with her so well. You've seen them dance together and they have this great chemistry and she's done this before. So he was partnering me for a little bit and I felt like a baby giraffe that was learning how to walk, but he was so kind and so helpful, and it was just an amazing experience. So that is one of the next things that I want to be able to give my dancers too.
Yeah, it's a magical feeling. It really is. It's like so many of the social dances have that element to it that makes it really special. Like, you swing dance, you don't swing dance by yourself. You salsa dance, you don't salsa dance by yourself. I mean, obviously you can practice the technique by yourself, whatever. But in a big point of it is to be able to dance together with people. And so I think with ballet, it's like that is also a part that is super, super fun to be able to get to do with people. Yeah, I think it's like you said in the beginning of this, of what you said there was like, in training schools for children, they have the luxury of accepting whoever they want. Fine. If you are like, if you think about, like a college or higher education or anything, they have the luxury of accepting who they want because they have that's their specific thing. And they just say, like, this is who we take and this is who we don't take. Fine. That's their school. That's their setup. That's their thing. And so then you get teachers who are really specialized at teaching that particular person who they accept because I mean, it's probably very efficient. They're going for that look, whatever it is. Maybe there's some more malicious reasons in some areas, but let's say it's for those reasons. And like you said, there's nothing necessarily good or bad about that, but creating the spaces for people who don't fit that mold to still find success in their own bodies is so important. And I think it's the same with partnering. It's like there exist taller people than me. I am over 6 feet tall with my point shoes on, but there are people who are many more inches higher than 6 feet tall. So that's they are maybe they are not maybe they also don't feel welcome in these spaces too, and therefore they're also not there. But like there exist people who are taller than me who who can be like that. It's just like a matter of including more people, and then also in order to make partnering possible, you also have to include more types of partners too. So it's like
Yes,
it goes both. It needs to expand in multiple ways.
yes, I agree with this 100%. And yeah, with this idea of like coming in with some of like all of this baggage and everything, like we know the stories, we've heard the stories. Maybe you've been part of a story that you were said no to for whatever reason, kind of thing. um I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I've had it done to me and it stinks. I love dance so much. I loved it as a kid. Like I said, do I don't have the best anatomy. If somebody were to look at my body, they would definitely go, "No." But I dance. I love dance. What do I want to do when I get up in the morning? I want to dance. I want to teach. I want to be this. I like to choreograph. These are all things that drive me and I just feel it in my soul. So to be told like, no, you can't do this because of this thing, even though you have this drive, that's, I don't know. I maybe it's me. I also just don't like to be told no. Um, so I do what I want and I just make it happen. Um,
And that's why you're you, Erica. That's why you're you. That's why you have Turnell. That's why you have Rochester Adult Ballet Company. That's why you've created what you've created, is because you're just like, no, nah, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it and we're going to do it in the best way possible and we're going to be healthy about it. And yeah, like even some of our classes, we talk about like a lot of mindset stuff, like how, like where the different mindsets are from a beginner dancer up to the advanced dancers, and working that stuff in so we can overcome some of these evil voices in our heads that tell us that, oh, he can't pick you up. You're a fat cow. And how to tell that voice to have a Snickers and go sit in the corner and I'm going to go jump for a minute. Okay. So, yeah. So, all of that stuff, it's important. It's important to me. And I hope that, yeah, the individuals that come and take class and are students of mine feel that they are accepted and that they can be whoever they are in that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge, and it seems to me like they do feel that way. It's yeah, very very nice. Um, I think that from the couple years I was taking jujitsu, I always thought that getting those guys to come in and learn how to partner was the best approach because they could take anybody down 5 times their size. It doesn't matter. And they saw it as a challenge. Like watching them work with other bodies was amazing. Like that's when I noticed material improvement in my own partnering skills was being tossed around and then tossing other people around. Like you basically there's mats, so it's a little nicer because it's very thick cushioning. But it just showed me what was possible. You see a small man take down a very large man. And it is clear in this case that it is a matter of leverage and of understanding the mechanics of how things work and understanding the physics of how things work and understanding the weight points of a particular body and learning how to feel the weight of another person. Like one person who I used to wrestle with would wrestle with his eyes closed because he was feeling the weight of the body. He was not looking at where things were, but he was like feeling the weight. And the first time I was like, are you like, what's happening here? Like, are you,
Are you
I don't even know
bored?
what's
Are you
happening.
like,
Yeah, like what's going on? He was very good. He was extremely good. It was probably weighed less than me. I mean, he was small, but very, very good. But he would always wrestle everybody with his eyes closed. And he could flip over people 3 times his size just from understanding leverage and from understanding how bodies work. So that to me I was eye-opening in more ways than I could even recount. But in that way, especially of watching small people heft big people, for lack of a better phrase. I was just like, this is clearly a matter of training and understanding how this process works. It is
yeah,
easier to throw small people around. However, it is clearly possible if you have the knowledge and the practice and the training to do it safely with somebody bigger than you. I mean, it was
yes,
very interesting. It was very interesting.
yeah, no, I mean, and that's a lot of how I kind of relate to dance and things like that. To me, it's physics.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, I don't know why, but I can always see physics. I can see the angles. I can see how much I have to lean the body, how much you need to adjust this way. Um, so like dealing with different heights for dancers and things like that. Like some of my taller dancers would say to me like, what, why, like I don't have to, this other person over here doesn't have to lean as far, but I have to lean. I go, first of all, we're not leaning, we're shifting our weight. Okay. And yes, that person is 5 foot and you are 5'6". So you've got that much more to move and you might not see them do it. But they are shifting. It's just, you're going to see it more on a taller person. And that's not bad, good, right, wrong. It's just what it is for the body.
Right.
So even like teaching turns, I would never, ever, ever had considered myself a turner. I now have a pretty solid double, which like a single used to be impossible for me. Um, and then looking at body types and going, why do they just naturally have it?
Mm-hmm.
What is that about? What is this naturally having this? Um, And then looking at the anatomy, the structure of the body, most natural turners have a shorter torso.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have this much to control. And they might just over time, normally, like just through everyday life, they understand how to control this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having a long torso like myself, if I don't hold on to this, I am a wavy, wacky, flailing, flailable tube band kind of person.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's harder to control all of this because there's just more.
Right.
So finally learning that and then applying it, that has made so much difference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, so it's all about being able to understand all the different types of bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it can seem daunting at first, but oh, there goes one of my things. um, but it's once you understand where the body is in space and things like that, and just the differences. Yeah, I don't know. It's really not that hard to teach different types of bodies. Um, the people that do just are like, I only want to teach bodies that have hyperextension, that are this tall, that have this length of legs or blah blah blah. I don't know. Am I sorry to say this? Maybe they're just lazy teachers.
Hot take from Erica. But I think so much of ballet gets confused with the form versus the function. Like people think that turnout is about look, and it is, but it's also about function. It's about the fact that your legs are turned out is because you're generating force in your hip. The fact that you have this posture is because you're controlling your core for these movements. The fact that you have your pelvis in that position is so that you can have turnout. Like it's not an arbitrary like look, although the aesthetic does kind of hijack the conversation. But I think it's so much like what you said about why is not that hard to teach different bodies, because if you understand the function and why we're doing these things, then it doesn't matter the amount of turnout that is the result. It matters the function of how they're using the turnout. It matters the function of how they're controlling the posture, not the end result of if they fully flatten out their lower back curve or if they fully are able to change the upper back curve that they might have developed. Like it's not about the end result of where your joints end up, where the range of motion ends up, as much as the function of it. And I think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings with ballet, both from I think students and teachers, is that it's about the amount when it's really about the usage of the forces inside of your body. It's about the, like you were saying, the physics. It's about how you use your body to move your body.
Yes. Yeah. Like with turnout, I don't know how many times I've heard people say to me, well, I don't have that great turnout, so I can't do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no, that's not what's happening. It's that you're not using the turnout that you are given.
Right.
um yes, we all want to improve our turnout. Yes, you can, absolutely, but you have to use what you have consistently.
Right.
And even that idea of stamina in class,
Mm-hmm.
when a teacher says like we need to build your stamina, they're not talking about how many miles you can run. No, it's how long can you hold the turnout so you can do the things that you need to do. Can you hold that through the entire bar? Can you hold that while you're dancing? Because that's the stamina to remind those muscles, oh, I have to keep doing this, I have to keep doing this. And it's that when they hit that failure, it's like, oh, okay, your turnout gave out, and what we have to do is build more of that stamina.
Yep.
And then learning that, I've seen a lot of ahas going, hey, when I use that, it's a lot easier. I'm like, yes,
I can
yes,
balance.
I can balance.
Yeah.
I am guilty of that. Okay. My jazz teacher will be like, Erica, your standing leg, if you don't drive that down into the ground and pull up on your thing, you're not going to be able to do that. And then as soon as I remember to do all of those things and engage my VMO and push down to the floor and lift out of my hips, then I'm like, oh, that was easier. And I'm like, yeah, I should have remembered that. Um, and yeah, and it's not so much remembering it. It's like my muscles were like, we're done right now. We
Right.
don't want to do that. So I have to build that stamina. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. The body just wants to go back to its natural state as frequently as possible. And we can increase our range of motion in all areas, which makes it easier to hold in some ways, but also it depends on the situation. But when you're thinking about, like you said, with turnout, it's like people say, I have bad turnout, I have whatever. It's like, if you are not using 100% of what you already have, then you will not ever get to 110%. It is the fact that you're using 100% that will get you to 110%. It's the fact that you are able to hold that for a period of time that will get it to be better. But it is like, maybe it's starting small now, but like, I think people think that turnout is about the angle, not about the usage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. I mean, I know we can't help it sometimes, especially in like physical classes, comparing ourselves from one person to another. And I don't think a lot of it is malicious, but kind of looking at the person next to you going, wait, their turnout is not as good as mine, and they can do X, Y, and Z. Why can't I do it? And it's not that theirs is better, but maybe they're using the amount that they have the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. They're using everything that they have in that moment 100%. And that's what it is. All of our bodies are different. So yeah, ballet looks different on other bodies, not everybody is going to have that aesthetic kind of thing. So
Yeah, I mean, we're
I don't
not
know.
robots or dolls. We're people with individual bodies, lives, and minds. So it's going to look different for each of us, which, like you said, can be difficult in your mind to be like, well, I want that look. I want that aesthetic. I want it to look like that, right? That's hard. It's been hard since I think the beginning of time. You're always comparing yourself to how other people's body looks. I think that's always something that we all need to go on a journey of like, this is what I have to work with. This is mine, and I'm going to use it the best that I can. And really, the dancers that you find the most amazing and moving are usually the ones who have come to that place of acceptance and who learn to use their bodies to express themselves. And I think it's like one thing to look at perfect technique and be like, oh, that's so like, wow, they really they got it perfectly. And it's like, what, emotionally it's not as moving as someone who can actually use their body that they like to the fullest.
Yeah, yeah. And you see that difference. We see it a lot with our like going to competition dancing, and then also having those same individuals that will take part in like our Nightmare Before Christmas kind of thing, because they'll see like these kids that can do these like amazing feats of like, oh my gosh, that, look at those turns, look at the legs, look at this. um and competition dance is different. It's a different monster. um I'm not saying that it's, I love competition dance. I like the idea of getting out there, competing, being able to do some of those things, but it's different than like your classical storytelling type of dance.
Mm.
So when you're out there and you're competing, the emotion, unless you're doing like a specifically type of lyrical dance that has a specific emotion, but most of the time normally from kids, and I'm not going to say all the time because there are some kids that are some old souls, um, but like their emotion is plastered,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what is pain to them? Maybe they didn't get their Starbucks today. I don't know. Versus maybe what is pain to me? Maybe somebody that's had loss or gone through a traumatic time or things like that. So that shows differently. So being able to see that in more of a classical dance style, um, I like I like that. I like being able to see the emotion, to feel it, because that's what connects us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is all about. I mean, when we come back to it, being able to connect everybody. I also like seeing people that are my age, around my age, because I can relate to them.
Yeah.
The same with kids, they're going to want to see people that are their age, they can relate to them. But like, so maybe being able to see more of this dance from adults on stage, then maybe it won't become a lost art, because the people that are going are like, wow, they look like me. They represent who I am. I can feel their pain. And maybe that's how we bring some of this stuff back, that, everybody's like, it's a dying art. Nobody's going to see this anymore. Well, yeah, why would you go see something that you can't relate to?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in I want to get into some of the exciting stuff you've got coming up with the everything going on there. So when we're thinking about competition dance, I just want to circle back to that point. Like the difference between competition dance and sort of the classical ballet setting. Competition dance, I think what you're trying to get at is that it's like is more about comparing technique, is more about like
Yes.
comparing technique and bodies, and like that is a little bit more about that technical standard,
Yes.
versus trying to tell a story. You're Mirta. You're trying to tell a story. Is that kind of what you're getting at there as to why
Yes.
competition can
Yeah.
have
It's
more of that
almost
technical
versus
mindset?
like
Yeah,
athleticism versus art. And I'm
I
not saying
see.
that competition dance isn't art,
Yeah,
but you have a specific amount of time to get this many dancers to do the same thing all at the same time. And you have to, it's kind of like gymnastics where you have to like check the boxes, like, oh, we
yeah,
got to turn, we got to leap, we got to thing, we got to this or that, so you
yeah.
have to jam pack that in. There's not really a lot of time for storytelling and emotion and lingering with a really beautiful port de bras or anything like that. So yeah, that was where I was going with it.
Yeah, and I think it's also just such something that I try to preach so often is like know your goal and what you're doing in that given moment. Like in this case, you are comparing athleticism and checking this boxes, and like you're playing a specific game in this moment. So know what game you're playing. Like even when you're in class, it's like know what game you're playing. Like if you're playing the game of trying to improve your posture, you're going to forget all the combinations. If you're playing the game of remembering the combinations, you're going to forget all your posture. And it's like trying to bring all the games together eventually. That's kind of where you get that, that trifecta type of a thing. But like if you know what game you're playing, then it's less frustrating when you're losing a game that you're not even playing. Like you beat yourself up for losing something you weren't even doing. Like you weren't even working on that. Like you weren't even having that. So same with this. It's like if that's the game you're playing, then you know that that's the game you're playing. You go in there with the mindset that's going to support you through that type of thing. You're like, okay, I'm going to compare athleticism to this. I understand these are 16-year-olds and I am not like you kind of understand the situation and the facts of the situation, which can help some of the comparison of just spiraling and being like, oh, well, whatever spirals would come from that.
Oh yeah, there can be plenty, but no, that's exactly it. And that also goes along with that mindset part that we like that I like to talk about. Like, okay, if you know that you want to work on really straightening your legs, like you said, you might forget most of the combination, but if your leg was really straight, you won.
Right.
You won that game. Okay. That check that off. You did it. Okay. Which I think can get kind of confusing in class when sometimes you have your instructor reminding you of other things,
Yes.
um, which is something that I've started to teach my adults, kind of be like, okay, I'm going to cue you for a bunch of different things because there's 8 of you in this class and it is a class setting. But if you know that you want to work on holding your turnout, tune me out and you are going to go hold my turnout, hold my turnout, hold my turnout, hold my turnout. Not where is your leg? How high is your leg? Where is your plie? Knees over toes, okay? Because you are working on where is my turnout. So it's knowing when to do that, and you don't have to do it every class.
No. Right.
Yeah. So
And some
it's
teachers are
honestly,
more some teachers are more or less amenable to you playing your own game when they have a game that they have in mind for you. Like I think it also does depend on the teacher because some teachers will get very frustrated if you're not taking their agenda. Like
yes.
because it's all in a sense, it's also like if you came to that class, you're in a sense looking for that teacher's agenda and you have your own agenda to balance. So going to a class setting is a little different than practicing by yourself, where you can 100% set your own agenda, where you can like 100% do that, or private lesson, you can speak with your teacher about what your personal agenda is. So I feel like that's always an interesting part about class because the teacher has an agenda and the student has an agenda, and you try your best as a teacher to have that match the student's agenda, but also you have an agenda. And if they're focusing on this, but you know that their posture is limiting their turnout, then you have to focus on the posture first to get to the turn. It's a lot of
Yes.
moving pieces, and two people having their own agenda is like it can be a tricky part to balance as a teacher.
It can be, and it can be frustrating, especially sometimes with the levels,
Yeah.
um, because we're adults. And the way that some of my passes work is some people you can go into some higher level classes, and I think that is great to explore, to see what's coming up next, to challenge yourself. But if you're doing that, trying to think that that's how you're going to improve, you're going to get very frustrated.
Very fast.
Um, yeah. So like when I have my individuals that I'm like, some of them will come up to me, Erica, what do I need to work on to get to this next level? Why am I having a problem with it? And I'm like, because you need to straighten your standing leg when you turn. Because you need to straighten your standing leg when you turn. You need to pull up in your VMO. I don't know how else to say. After a while, I know you going to a higher level class and learning fouettes is not going to help you do that basic single turn that you want so badly. If anything, it's going to frustrate you. So I try, and which is like I said, with the levels, that's why we're in that level, because there is something that you haven't checked yet, which is so important that if you go to the next level, you might be able to kind of make it there, but you're gonna get frustrated really, really fast. Um, and this is something that I've had to look at for myself. Um, I I can pick up things pretty quickly. I understand where my body is in space, but what I was struggling with, and I know you've known this, is always been my point work and my high releves. The strength or the lack of flexibility in my feet has prevented me from doing things. So when I will take class, I whether it's with you, whether it's with somebody else, I normally take a little bit of a lower level class. And I'm going, okay, I'm listening to what they're saying, but my main goal is I need to get my highest releve every single time. And other things are going to take a back seat.
Mhm.
But I know I won't ever get any further on point or anywhere else until I get this under control, until I've worked this. And
Mhm.
sometimes it stinks, um, but now that I've gotten more range, things come easier. And now learning those other things where I'm like, I'm never going to get there. I'm so far behind. Everybody else is learning this. Now I'm able to get it faster because I don't have to fight with my body so much.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's a fine balance between trying the higher levels to keep you engaged and motivated and excited versus frustrated that you're never going to get there. And I think for some people, they are so afraid that they'll never get to the higher levels that they need to experience the higher levels to see that it could be possible for them. Whereas some people will get immediately overwhelmed and frustrated and be like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't do this. And I think there's some people who it's like for some projects, it's like it's going to take you 3 years to figure out how your pelvis like honestly, like it's going to take you 3 years
Yes.
to straighten out your lower back and hold your pelvis still. And in those 3 years, like you're probably going to get bored. So it is, if you are going to actually stick around in ballet for 3 years, maybe you will try some of the higher level classes. So you can just do literally something else for a minute and just see why it matters and see why it's hard. And then you'd be more motivated to come back down to the lower levels and work on that thing. But like for someone to just work on that same exact thing for that many years can sometimes get extremely tedious. So I have a lot of compassion for people who have gotten bored with their one project that they personally know is necessary to improve, but they just it's just like it's so slow. It's so slow,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
need to like be engaged in order to even finish the project because it's just like so slow.
Because they do. They need to see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. I absolutely
Right.
agree with that. Yeah. So yeah, in like I said, none of them are wrong the way to do it. It's just, I guess, know yourself.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself. What's going to frustrate you more? Um, and have some grace with yourself. Try things and yeah, but don't be scared to try something a little bit harder, and but then don't be scared to maybe go, okay, I do still need to work on some of these other basic things.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah, and I would say also don't be afraid to be frustrated. Like it's okay to be frustrated. You're allowed to be frustrated. It's uncomfortable, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And it's part of the journey. There's really no way to avoid frustration in your whole journey. Either you're gonna be frustrated with how slow it is or frustrated with the next level or whatever. And you just, I mean, if it comes, the frustration comes here and there, you just like, there it is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
literally part of the journey. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, okay. But to me, I'm like, oh, I'm learning though. I'm
Yeah.
learning, and there's going to be a high. There's a high somewhere. I know it's coming around the corner, and I'm going to get this.
It's on its way.
It
Um,
is.
Speaking of on its way, you guys have some exciting stuff coming up this summer. Tell us about what you have coming up in May.
So we were invited, RABC, the company that I run, has been invited to go over to Italy and perform. Um,
That's so
I
exciting.
am so excited, so excited. It's May 3rd that we will be performing. Um, it's in Turin, Italy. We have 7 dancers that are going over. We're
Oh my
performing
gosh.
2 of our pieces. And yeah, it like did not expect this invitation. So grateful for it. It's for the Adult Open Dance Festival. Yeah, I believe I said that right. And then the name of the other adult ballet company that is putting it on, I'm not gonna say it in Italian because I'll murder it, but the name of their company is basically the unsuspecting dancer, which I love that.
Yeah.
Like, and they have an adult company there, and this is their sixth sixth year doing this festival. Um, so yeah, so they invited us, and we're in the midst of getting our flights, and we have our first rehearsal tonight. So yeah,
That's so exciting. It's amazing to see the last conversation we had. Like all of this was just a thought in your head, like an idea in your head, and now it's gone probably places you didn't even think would be possible. Now you've got, well over 100 dancers. You've got the ballet company. You're going to perform in tour or go in Italy, and being able to put on all this amazing stuff. It's truly amazing, Erica, to see what you've built in such a short time. It's like the going to Italy here is just like the cherry on top at after culminating so many amazing things that you've got going on. So congratulations to you and all of your dancers. That's going to be an amazing experience. We can't wait to follow
thank
along.
you. Yeah, yeah, can't wait to show off and send pictures and all that kind of stuff. We are super excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so do you have any last kind of words that you want to leave everybody with here on our show?
Um, Nothing is impossible. Nothing. Even that dream of that I want to perform in a corps de ballet on stage, that's not impossible. Nothing is impossible if you want it. If you, yeah. So don't stop. Don't feel bad for having those quote unquote silly dreams. Go for it. And you know, even if you feel like maybe you can't tell your family, there's those of us out there that are going to be like, yes, we are rooting for you. We want this to happen for you. Okay. So yeah, keep going. Don't stop. Everything's possible.
Thank you so much, Erica. What a fun episode. I'm so excited to keep in touch with everything you're doing and that you have coming for you and your amazing dancers and community in Rochester and now in Italy. Thanks again for being here on the show and for continuing to be a source of inspiration in my life and for being such a great friend.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking with you, Julie. This is always wonderful.
All right, dancers, I hope you had so much fun getting to listen to Erica talk about everything she's creating up in Rochester with Turnell Dance and with the Rochester Adult Ballet Company. If you'd like to follow along Erica and her dancers' stories, I'll have all of the details in the show notes. I'll be back in your ears next week with another amazing episode, and until then, I wish you very happy dancing.